Welcome, Lotus Field fans. I am Bryant Cook, and today we're playing the top 8 deck list from Pro Tour Philadelphia, piloted by Nathan Steuer, who is a part of a team full of other great players like Austin Bursavich that also played this exact 75. Today, we're going to play that deck list and see how we fare. So, I've played lists similar to this. I haven't played this exact list before, but I would consider myself to be somewhat of an expert on the archetype. I've played a lot of Lotus Field in my life, so I do have some experience. Before we hop on in, I'm going to give a more in-depth deck tech today about some of the choices in this deck and my thoughts on them. I didn't make these choices, so I will be explaining my view on them. I'm not the one who top 8'd the event. I wasn't a part of the team. So if you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. It's not a huge deal. But from the outside looking in, these are my perspectives. And if you're not interested in that, hey, go ahead, skip to that first match. You'll be fine. You won't be hurting my feelings, whatever. So one of the more actually, before we get into the interesting deck choices, let's explain how this deck functions. So we are, a Lotus Field deck. So its namesake, Lotus Field, is a land with hexproof. When it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice 2 lands, then it taps for 3 mana of any one color. Okay, so it's a Black Lotus land suite. And then we have Thespian stage to copy it. Hexproof says your opponents can't target it, so yes, you can target it with your Thespian stage. So the idea is that you want to get 2 copies of Lotus Field on the battlefield, and then you use Hidden Strings to generate mana. So Hidden Strings plus Lotus Field will make 4 mana. So that will bring you up to a total of 10. And generally you want to cast, powerful, expensive spells. So we have Emergent Ultimatum, which allows you to get 3 monocolor cards out of your deck. Your opponent chooses 1, it goes back into your deck, and then you cast the other 2. So we're looking to go get at the Singleton Omniscience, Behold the Beyond, and either Dark Petition or Lier, Disciple of the Drowned. From there, you can create a stack that essentially wins the game. It's a little simplified, but that's the general idea of the deck. We also have Pore with the Pages to generate mana and card value, that sort of thing. But a lot of this deck is just cards that find Lotus Field, Impulse, Sylvan Scrying, Shimmer, or cards that make mana. So Hidden Strings, Vizier, Voyaging Satyr, Arboreal Grazer blocks and accelerates you. So it's really just acceleration, mana, and then payoff spells. It's a lot like playing Tron in Modern in a way, but a little bit more combo-y, I will say that. But that's the general idea. One thing that I find really interesting about this list is that it's the first list that I've seen that's gone up to 6 copies of Impulse. We have obviously the 4 copies of the actual card, and then we're playing 2 Shimmers, and that's really interesting. Previously, these spells were occupied by additional copies of Hope Tender or another Wish Effect. So Mastermind's Acquisition gets the sideboard copy of Approach to win the game. Previously, that slot in a lot of lists was Fae. So Fairy would get the sideboard Approach, and you'd have 2 ways to win the game. Well, this list only has the 1. In order to play around Necromentia, their team has decided to play a layer of the Hydra, so that way you can attack with the giant Hydra to win the game. I've never won this way before. It is a cute way of finding an additional slot into your deck that at the cost of a land. I'm interested to see how that plays today. I've never done it myself, but I think it could be good. Just a little bit skeptical, but hey, their team tested this. They likely put in a lot of reps. They figured this out. The interesting thing to me is the Voyaging Satyr in the main deck over the Hope Tender. Hope Tender has been kind of stock while Voyaging Satyr hasn't been. And here we're seeing the Hope Tender in the sideboard with another copy of Voyaging Satyr. That pretty much covers the main deck. Obviously, we have things like Besaju and Otawara to answer permanent-based hate as well. The sideboard, I will admit, this has been a gripe of mine for a while. If you've listened to any of my thoughts on Pioneer, you would have heard this before, and it's nothing against their Pro Tour testing team, but I'm not a big fan of one Wish Effect and then a whole bunch of Wish targets in the sideboard. These cards can be boarded in, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that in control matchups, for example, you take out a Boreal Grazer, you board in the Sphinx, the Dragonlord Dramoka, and then, maybe a land in a Natural State or something. I don't know. I haven't put too much thought into it at the moment. But they're not exclusively Wish targets. That said, it is a giant Wish board. And for running a singleton Wish, I don't know if it's getting the best bang for your buck. That said, Nathan did top 8 the Pro Tour, and I didn't. So props to them. And today we're just going to play their 75, see how it goes. But it's something that I'm just a little bit skeptical about. The needles are for Green Devotion. We have a couple of different wrath effects in the sideboard, from Depopulate to Ritual of Suit. No Supreme Verdict. That is a copy of a a wrath effect that a lot of people were playing previously. We have 2 more untappers. These are likely to be boarded in versus matchups with very little removal, like mono white, for example. We have some Fading Hopes for mono white as well. And then some high-end, top-end stuff. So like Dragonmore Jamoka, Gargaroth, Sphinx, these are all cards that get boarded in pretty frequently. That's my short and Swedish deck tech. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, put those down below. But I kind of just want to get in and playing this pretty exciting deck list today. Let's see how it goes. I hope we crush. I sincerely mean that. It's been a while since I played the build with Omniscience. I did test this a couple months ago, and I just constantly hated drawing this card, so I've been playing lists without the Omniscience in it for a little bit. But we'll see how it goes playing it again today. I hope I'm wrong. Let's find out. See you match number 1. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, early access to videos, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, such as theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1, we are on the play. They reveal a Gigantha. Here we have Lotus Field. We have the Thespian stage. We're on the play though, so we do need to hit land number 2. One thing to note about this hand is that the Sylvan Scryings are sort of mulligans, because if we hit our land, we can use the first scrying to go get a land to sacrifice that isn't the stage. But the second one is already a mulligan. The Voyaging Satyr's fine. The Gigantha typically tells us one of 2 things. 1, they're a very hyper aggro deck, or 2, they're Niv-to-Light, which is incredibly slow. That's that Niv-to-Light is not a popular deck, so you have to assume that they're on the aggro strategy. Because of that, I'm going to take a mulligan. On the draw, I would have considered keeping this. Okay, so this hand is fine. We'll keep, and I'm going to bottom the second copy of Vizier. A little bit awkward here that our green source is Temple of Mystery. We can still accelerate into a turn 2 Arboreal Grazer, but we would have preferred it on the first turn. Play the Temple of Mystery. It triggers. We do not need a Botanical Sanctum. Put that on the bottom. Opponent plays a Temple Garden into Gladecover Scout. So they're on the Bogle's deck from the Pro Tour, the deck that lost in the finals. Okay, pretty exciting that we're getting to face a high quality deck here. We'll play Otawara and then play the Grazer, putting Lotus Field onto the battlefield. I wasn't wrong, it is a hyper efficient aggro deck. And then we'll get rid of our lands, pass the turn. Light pause, okay. They're going to pass, we'll take a draw. Thespian stage, that was a lovely hit. All right, so we're going to, whoops. Cycle the Vizier here, which might seem a little bit weird because you might be saying, why not just copy Lotus Field and pass? Well, we can cast Shimmer this turn if we cycle the Vizier first. And I'd prefer to max out my spells and mana, because if we just copy and pass, we're wasting a mana this turn. And this makes a mana next turn, which is true, but we're also just, we're gaining a mana by doing it right now, I guess is my point. Okay, so Omniscience is interesting. I think you're supposed to take the Pore over pages because we can't actually cast the Omniscience. It would require us drawing into Hidden Strings and then Impulse or Pore over the pages hitting. They have land number 3. Ethereal Armor. And they grab a Hammer Hand. Okay. Sentinel's Eyes. They're going to be crashing in for quite a bit of damage here. They can go grab another copy of Ethereal Armor. Okay. Ouch. I'm at 9. Time to peanut butter and jam. Oh, Lier was an amazing draw. Okay. Definitely glad with my decision to take Pore over the pages now. Untap, untap. Discard the Grazer. We just need to find a single copy of Hidden Strings and we're off to the races. So the reason I mentioned that, and Dark Petition will do here, is that with Lier, we can't flashback Pore immediately. Let's undo. Tap this for black. Play Dark Petition. Let's go grab a Hidden Strings. We have Spell Mastery, so it makes 3 black. We will now cast the Hidden Strings using 1 of the black. Yes, yes, no. Tap this for green. Cast the Balagad Recovery, getting back Hidden Strings. This makes 1 mana. So Hidden Strings generates 6 after you cast it, and Balagad Recovery plus Hidden Strings is 5, so you end up plus 1 mana. And now we'll cast the Lier. Essentially the Pioneer version of Past in Flames. 4 over pages. We found Emergent Ultimatum. Discard a stage. We can play the Sanctum. And we'll do black, green. Hold on. Black, green, blue. I guess I'll Hidden Strings first. Just in case for some reason something goes awry. We might as well cipher onto our Lier because it's going to become exiled anyway. Emergent Ultimatum. So here we can grab Omniscience. What do we want to get? Probably the Mastermind's Acquisition. And another Hidden Strings. Yeah, that seems fine. They're not going to give us the Omniscience. Oh, they are going to give us the Omniscience, so they must have Beseiju in hand. Ooh, okay, so apparently I needed to tap the Lotus Field first. That's a mistake on my part. Okay. So we've tapped on their land. Omniscience will enter. Let's cast Impulse from hand. So this is a little bit of anti-synergy that you may not realize. The Omniscience only casts cards from hand. It doesn't cast cards from graveyard for free. So now we'll Ultimatum again. This time we'll get Dark Petition, Behold, Mastermind's Acquisition. Just trying to end the game. Okay, we'll go grab the Approach, Dark Petition, just grab an Impulse, cast Approach, play Impulse, grab an Otawara, cast Impulse from the graveyard, and then that will get the Approach, and that will be the game. So playing with the Omniscience allows you to easy mode a lot of the time, but I could have won this game without the Approach, which is why I haven't been playing it in my own personal lists. But it does allow you to sort of turn your brain off and just go, which is nice. I'm just not sure if it's necessary, and there's a lot of awkward draws in which you have it and you're just like, I wish this was anything else. Let's hope we don't experience any of those in this league. Okay, so we're on the draw against auras. We probably want this Natural State. The Hope Tenders and the Voyaging Satyr are pretty good here just because our opponent likely doesn't have any removal for them. You could board in the Ritual of Sut. I'm not sure if we want to, but it's a choice. And maybe this Beseiju. So that brings you up to 64, and now you need to figure out what you're going to board out. You could probably get rid of the Behold. I mean, maybe you want to keep that, actually, because we only have 2 Emergents. Take out the Lair of the Hydra. We don't likely need that, and the Beseiju kind of occupies that space anyway. We'll board out 2 Shimmers, because those are flex spots. Maybe a Balagad. Let's try this. Okay, so we've opened up the combo. The downside here is that we don't have a Grazer. They've mulliganed. We're going to keep, but it could end up biting us in the butt with this hand being a little bit too slow on the draw. A Boreal Grazer off the top would be our best hit. Outside of that, our best draws would be one of the 3 green untappers. Turn 1 Temple Garden. Into Glade Cover Scout. Sure thing. Take a draw. Dark Petition. Play a Sanctum and pass. They have a land into... I've never seen this card before. Rune of Substance. When it enters the battlefield, they draw a card. It has lifelink. And Enchanted Permanent has... if it's an equipment, that equipment would give lifelink. Sure. I don't really care about that at all. Another copy of Impulse. We'll just pass the turn. On their end step, we can cast Impulse. Land 3. All that glitters. So now they've elevated their creature up to a 3/3. And then Audacity, the Pioneer Rancor, it is up to a 6 power creature. We have to start being worried about our life total. Alright, I'll Impulse. Whoops, can't cast it that way. There we go. We don't need the Scrying. I'm going to take the Pore. I would have really loved to have found a Hidden Strings there, or one of our green creatures. Okay, we're at 13. They have 2 cards in hand. Draw. We're going to hang on to the Vizier. It's going to be more valuable next turn. We'll Impulse. Yikes. Not having a whole lot of luck in the Impulse department. I'm actually going to take the Behold. Emergent is the card that a lot of people would take here. But the thing is, if we get to the part where we can cast a 7 mana card, I think we're already winning the game, and Behold is a little bit better at closing out the game. So I'm going to choose to take it. I don't think there's much of a meaningful difference there. I could be wrong, though. Jegantha to hand. Okay. So they have 3 cards, one of which is a Jegantha. We're at 7, which does not kill us next turn. It's worth noting. The best draw on the deck, Hidden Strings off the top rope. You love to see it. Okay, so we'll cycle the Vizier. Untap the Lotus Field. Oh, okay. So we're just going to have it all, I guess. Back-to-back rips of Hidden Strings. This is how you top 8 the PT, apparently. You just draw all of your best cards. Okay. Big fan. 4 over pages. Untap, untap. Discard this extra stage. Let's cast another Pore. Untap, untap. Discard a land. Tap. We'll cycle a Vizier. Untap. Hope Tender. Hidden Strings. And the opponent is conceded. Love it. 1-0. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match 2 on the play. Sure, this hand seems good to me. We're missing the Thespian stage, but we have the Voyaging Satyr, which can act as a pseudo copy of Lotus Field for Hidden Strings purposes. It doesn't work with Pour Over pages, but it does a nice impression. We're going to start off by playing the Balagad Recovery as a land. I want to keep the Besaiger open in case I need it. Den of the Bugbear, okay. Swiftspear, so another aggro deck. The difference in these matchups are the Swiftspear decks usually have removal in them, making the Voyaging Satyr a little bit worse. We'll play the Satyr, pass the turn. This is likely to eat a removal spell, which is just fine. Carposian Forest? Sure. Are you Atarka Red? No blocks. Carries have no removal for the Voyaging Satyr. That's surprising. Alright, we'll play the Lotus Field. Sacrifice these 2 lands. Untap the field. Okay, we can Hidden Strings here. That would bring us up to 6 mana. I think I'm going to play it safe. You could try to get crafty here and try to build up to a ultimatum somehow, by casting Pore into Vizier, Hidden Strings, or something wild, I don't know. But instead, I'm just going to take the safe line and cast this Mastermind's Acquisition, looking for the main deck copy of Thespian stage. We'll grab a stage, pass the turn. Even if our opponent kills the Voyaging Satyr, I believe we can try next turn. No, I'm a liar. That's not true. We're 1 mana short. So we would want the Satyr to live again. Might be a tall ask. The opponent plays a Legion Loyalist into a kicked Bushwhacker. So we're going to take a bunch of damage here. That said, it is not lethal. So we get to try to win on our turn undisrupted. Not the best hand, I will say, in this specific matchup. Okay, we will copy our Lotus Field. I can't believe our Satyr wasn't interacted at all with out of the red deck. Untap the original field. Tap for blue. Let's hidden strings. Strings on the stack. Yes, yes, no. And then we'll cast Pore over pages. 3 blue floating. Omniscience. We've already played a land, so that means that we're 1 mana short. I could Bala Ged Recovery the hidden strings back, but then we're all in on an impulse. I mean, is that the line? I mean, I could play Grazer as a blocker if I do. Let's get back the hidden strings. This might be a little risky. Okay. Blue, blue, Omniscience. Cast the impulse. We find a shimmer, so we'll take that. Play the shimmer. Into a whiff. Ugh, 8 cards deep. Did not hit a payoff. That's brutal. So I think we're supposed to... We're definitely playing the Grazer. We're going to hold the Besiju. The question is, am I supposed to play the Vizier? And I think the answer is yes. It's worth noting the impulse line. I don't know what if we didn't play the Omniscience. We could have Balagetted back the hidden strings into impulse, but we would have looked at the same cards that would have failed us anyway. So I think we took the right line, but our line just didn't get there. And now they have Atarka's command up, and we're just going to lose. Throw this in front of the Bushwhacker. It doesn't matter. Pretty sure we're just dead. Atarka's command. Boulder Rush. Okay. Interesting. They didn't take the line to put me lower on life. They took the line to kill my Vizier. Alright, deck. Can I get a rip? That's a rip. Okay. 4 over pages. Wow. Alright, so we hit triple runner instead of just the one we needed. Emergent Ultimatum. Lier. Dark Petition. Hidden Strings. This will do, pig. Okay. And once again, I gotta get better at this. I forgot to... I guess we'll target, and then before it resolves, I can tap for mana. This is what I should have done last time, actually, and I was just too dumb to see it. Yes, yes, no. And then the Lier. We'll cast the Masterminds. Go get the Approach. Cast the Approach. Okay. So now we're going to game number 2. Definitely interested in Fading Hope versus the aggro deck. We probably want some of these sweepers versus the hyper-efficient aggro deck. Going to board out the Voyaging Satyr. I think we got a little lucky that that card didn't die at all. 63 cards. Once again, I think you're supposed to cut the shimmers. They are the pseudo-flex spot on the deck. Probably cut the layer on the draw. We don't really need it in this matchup either. And I'm going to board out 1 Bala Ged for the 4th copy of Besiju. This is the deck that could certainly have something like Eidolon of the Great Revel or Damping Sphere in the board. No way, Jose. Going to 6. So this would be fine if we could draw a green source, but it's still a little bit slow. They kept 7. We're going to go to 5. Sure. Get rid of those. Copperline Gorge. Legion Loyalist. We'll follow the 19 life. Lier. We'll pass. We're really looking on this impulse to find our Lotus Field. Cindervines. That is a card that you can often beat. Impulse. Ouch. Take the Sylvan Scrying. Pass the turn. They have 4 in hand. Maybe I'm supposed to board in the Nature's Claim. Or the Natural State. They Boulder Rush it, sure. They have 2 in hand. We'll take 1 off the Scrying. We'll go get our Lotus Field. Play it. Pass the turn. Run a map Ruins. Into a Carry Zev. Bushwhacked. Okay. Good turn. They're going to drop us pretty low on life here. This is where the Cindervines does start to matter. I mean, they were on the play. We mulled the 5. We could have had a better hand, but we're not going to win from 3. Okay, game 3. I am less interested in these sweepers after seeing their board plan. Let's bring in the natural state. Honestly, I kind of just want to go hyper aggro on them and do the 3 on tapper, no bounce spell. Like, if they're going wide, why am I bringing in Fading Hopes? Let's try this out. Speed versus speed. Hell yeah, keep. I don't love the Omniscience against the Cindervines deck, but we have Turmoil and Grazer into Temple, turn 2 Sylvan Scrying into Lotus Field. We already have the stage. This hand has a lot of things to enjoy. Play the Grazer. Temple. One thing I found, one of the reasons oh wow, that was a good hit too. Do we actually have a turn to play this? We don't, so we're going to bottom it. So I'll get back to Omniscience in a second. So with the untapper, turn 2 we're scrying, turn 3 we're copying, turn 4 we're looking to pour into the wind. There's no spot to play a Voyaging Satyr, but back to Omniscience. A lot of people will hold open Besage, and in this matchup they have Besage, but they also have Cindervines to blow up the Omniscience. And I just found that it's not a reliable card. It's really good against red-black, though. I will say that. It is the one matchup where I'm like, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I should be playing Omniscience. The Rakdos matchup is just one where it really shines since they can't interact at all with it. It also allows you to play spells for free, so winning through a Shield Dread just becomes cake. Another Kumano, sure. You got the Phoenix chick. Block. Draw for turn. Another Pore over pages. Looking forward to this next turn. Pass. Their creature transforms. They have 4 cards. Block. There's the Atarka's command. Oddly enough, there was only 1 copy of this deck at the Pro Tour, and it went 1 in 5 apparently. That was a stat that I was reading on Reddit yesterday. And they chose to not leave up a green mana to represent something like some way to interact with Omniscience, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Discard the stage, we'll cycle a couple copies of Vizier. Untap a field. Each cycle makes 1 mana. Hope Tender, you're late. Don't need you anymore. So now we can play our land and we can hardcast the Omniscience. 10 mana. Play the Pore. Untap, untap. Discard the Hope Tender. Ultimatum. Lier. Hidden Strings. And they just concede. Easy peasy. 2-0. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Round 3, we're on the draw. Keep. We have access to both Lotus Field and Stage, but it's going to take time. Here we see a Spirebluff Canal, which should be promising for us, and then we just draw the Stage. So now we only need 1 of these scryings to resolve, which is great. Traditionally, the Phoenix deck for Lotus Field is a matchup you want to face. This might be creativity, though. Ooh, we draw another Stage. So keeping this Otawara to potentially bounce their combo is huge. We'll grab a field. Pass. This was the deck that won the Pro Tour. And there's Fable. We'll take a draw. Another Lotus Field. Awkward. Let's tap these. We'll play a scrying. We don't want them to know that we have an Otawara in hand. I guess we'll get a Besiju to try to throw them off a little bit. Play these. Pass the turn. They discard a Shark Typhoon and an Impulse. Steam Vents. So they could in theory, creativity right now, but they're not going to get full value. So by waiting a turn, they can transform the Fable, get their second creature, have 5 mana into the full combo. Take a draw step. Play the stage, pass the turn. We're still holding open the Otawara, so we are safe from dying. Big score. Sure is. And now the Fable transforms. Land number 5. Looks like they're going for it. X is equal to 3. Okay. There it is. So this is the combo. So now when they go to combat, this will trigger their World Spine Worm will become a 30/30 haste trample. Ah! And then it will go back to their hand with the Otawara. Get out of here, Worm. And now our opponent has to find a way to get the Worm out of their hand and then creativity all over again. Take a draw. Sylvan Scrying. We'll play Beseiju. Tap for blue. Copy. And then Scrying, we'll go grab the other Otawara. Pass the turn. Mutavault. Into Fable. Okay, so this is their discard outlet next turn for the Worm. Their Shaman is a 4/4 haste that will make a treasure. Ouch. I am at 14. We'll take a draw step. Another Beseiju. Wish we had a Hidden Strings. Let's start on Shimmer, I suppose. And there's the Hidden Strings. Cast it. Looks like they have a counter spell here. Spell Pierce. You have double Spell Pierce? Am I getting punished for not playing out a Beseiju early? Okay, we're going to pay for Pierce. And to make disappear. I'm unable to pay. One thing I can do, though, is play out our Otawara. And we will destroy the Fable. So that way they're stuck with a World Spine Worm and one unknown in hand. Pass. Xenagos pumps up the Goblin. They don't swing with the Mutavault, which is interesting. We'll go to 10. Draw. Valaged Recovery. Play Lier. And let's attempt a Hidden Strings. Fire Prophecy is a great way for them to put the World Spine on the bottom. Okay. They got me there. This is actually really awkward. Maybe I'm just punting here. And your last card is a counterspell? Aw, oh, come on. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay. I guess I'm going to play Lotus Field. I feel like I could have played this game better. If I lose, it's kind of going to be my own fault. They drew a spell. They drew creativity off the top to kill me here. Wow. That's not right. Okay. Oh, that's brutal. I mean, I played poorly. I gave our opponent an out. And with giving them that out, they seized the moment. Ultimately, this is on me and not our opponent. I feel like with some better play, we could have won this game. Definitely interested in Fading Hope here. We don't need a Boreal Grazer. Those can quickly be sided out. And I'm not super hot on the Voyaging Satyr as well. Dragon Lord Dramoka is okay. Sphinx. And the Natural State. Let's try this. On the play for game 2. Sure. Layer the Hydra, pass. All the Swarm Giants. I'm just going to run directly into Spell Pierce here. If you have it, you have it. Scrying. Go grab stage. Pass the turn. Turn 2 Steam Vents. Let's see if they waste a counterspell on this scrying. If it resolves, we'll just grab Otawara. Good deal. Play Lotus Field. Pass the turn. They play a Coast. We will pass. Fading Hope was a decent pickup here. Opponent with 6 cards. Copy the Lotus Field. Draw. It's a Pore. So we can cast the Pore over pages here, and if we do, they can't big score if they counterspell. I think I want to save the Dark Petition to get a Lier later. I took a moment there to think about Dark Petition, but I think I just want to, if I'm going to burn a card, I think I want it to be Pore. And they have made it disappear. They're passing on 4 cards once again, or 4 lands once again, 6 cards in hand. We find the land. So I could slam Sphinx here, but if I do, they could end step big score, untap, kill me. And we don't really want that to happen. Let's Dark Petition now. If it resolves, I'll grab Hidden Strings. Negate. Pass. Cycle our Shark Typhoon. Surprise, surprise. They have land 5, 5 cards in hand. We draw another stage. So once again, I could play the Sphinx. And I think that's going to be the move here. Because now we're not going shields down to the 30-30 kill you. I will have the final word. We'll pass. There's the big score. We purposely delayed that for a few turns by just playing 5 drops into it. That was the goal. You might have been saying, like, why were you playing the 5 drops intentionally into counter magic? We were just trying to delay this spell. That's really all it was. And there's the creativity for 1. Hullbreaker Horror. Interesting. So they boarded out the combo. We'll bounce the Hullbreaker to their hand. Okay. So it's worth noting, the Sphinx says instants and sorceries. That does not work for creatures or enchantments. Speaking of creatures, I think I'm going to get rid of the Fading Hope here. Let's Balagad Recovery. Get back a Pore. What are you doing? They're going through time. Balagad Recovery. Tap. Pore over the pages. Discard the Sanctum. We have not played a land yet for turn. So I could go Besage You for turn for my land. And then I have 8 mana. So I could Balagad back Dark Petition, but that doesn't cast Hidden Strings, which is really the card we want here. So I think I'm going to just Impulse. Gotta be kidding me, deck. No, this actually does it. We'll grab the Masterminds. Play the Besage You. Tap this for black. This barely does it. Masterminds, get Hidden Strings. Okay. Yes, yes, no. And then we'll Balagad back the Hidden Strings. Okay. Yes, yes, no. So that brings us up to 7. And then the Lier allows us to recast the Hidden Strings. Yes, yes. And then this time, you would say yes again and cipher onto the Sphinx. But we did it. Sweet. I wonder, I'm pretty sure I do. I think I want to bring in the 4th Besage You over the Lier the Hydra. Because with the play pattern that we experienced in Game 2, they were willing to target just 1 treasure token. And if that's the case, I can blow up the treasure token with the Besage You in response. I think this hand's a trap. We'll go to 6. Guess we'll keep this and get rid of the ultimatum. They play a Cave. Another Fading Hope. And now they have a bunch of 2-mana counters that are open to counter our Sylvan Scrying. So instead I'm going to just play a Shimmer. Okay. Countered. So now if they tap out for the Fable, we guarantee have access to our Lotus Field. And that's what happens. Besage You. Let's go get the Lotus. Play the field. And then we'll pass. This is a spot where Shimmer not being Impulse actually matters. Because we need it to be an instant so we can hold open Fading Hope. And then cast Impulse, but we're not actually allowed to do that here. They swing. Treasure token. Draw. Not a good one. Play the Besage You and we're forced to pass. Reflection of Kiki Jiki. And I think I'm going to bounce the goblin here so I can dig a little bit, because we get to scry one if this resolves. Impulse. I guess we take that. I'm not thrilled, but it's fine. They have 4 in hand. We'll draw and just pass the turn with Impulse in hand. Big score. They get rid of Aether Gust. So here they actually have enough mana to cast Creativity for 2 with 2 mana available. Assuming they've boarded back into the larger package. Fable, okay. We're going to copy the Goblin Shaman. Ouch. On their end step, we will Impulse. Don't really love any of these. I think we take the island, because the island means that we can Shimmer next turn and keep up the Lotus Field. Okay. So we have Lotus Field the hard way next turn. Shimmer. I guess we take the Auto Aura. None of those cards are particularly amazing. Discards land, Valakut Awakening. They have 4 in hand. Creativity for 2. Did you board back into the full combo? Nope. Double Hullbreaker Horror. That's going to be very tough for us to beat. Okay, so I think we're pretty much dead to just any spell. I mean, we also just don't have the tools to go for it. On their end step, we'll Fading Hope. That can go on the bottom. Draw for turn. So you're saying there's a chance. Play the field. Cycle Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. Draw. Alright, I've played a land, that's right. So I guess we'll attempt to Pore over pages and just pray that they don't have instant speed interaction. Okay, so they're going to return the Pore over pages to our hand. I guess I can wait for them to actually do it, but I'll concede after that. Okay, the Pore has been returned. They have lethal on board. GG's opponent. We are now 2-1. 2 matches left. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. On the draw again for match number 4. This is a pretty easy mulligan. No Lotus Field, no way to find field, and it was incredibly slow. Here we have double Balagad plus stage, so we draw Blue Source for the Shimmer. We could be in business. I've kept worse, so let's try this one. Get rid of the Dark Petition. Blooming Marsh into Supplier. So is this the Jund? Nope, it's just, okay, it's Greasefang. Hidden Strings wasn't a bad pickup, but we need to draw a Blue Source next turn for this Shimmer if we want to be competitive in this game. Mana Confluence. Satyr Wayfinder. Okay, no vehicle in the graveyard yet. They'll get it for 1, we fall to 19. Blue Source. How much I hate this card. Okay, let's play the Balagad. And the reason to play Balagad here is if you draw Lotus Field, you want to be able to play it next turn. And if you play Stage, it becomes really awkward because you're not allowed to play Lotus Field without sacrificing this. Raffine's Informant, so they can discard a card, you know, a vehicle, and get it to the graveyard for the Greasefang. No vehicle, okay. They'll get in, we'll go to 17. I mean, if need be, I mean, not that I want to make this play, we can Thespian Stage to copy the Mana Confluence for a blue. That is something we're allowed to do here. They play an untapped Temple Garden. They're at 16 life. They're going to combat. We'll take 4 here, going down to 13. So we're within range of being dead to the Heliod or whatever it's called. Helion. There's a Chariot. Cool. Copy the Mana Confluence. Draw for turn. Impulse. Shimmer. We find the Lotus Field. Oh no, I'm a dummy. Why would I play out the Grazer there? You can't take me anywhere. if we're dead here by like exact damage or whatever, it's on me for not playing out the great. I was so happy about finding field that I just skipped the thing that I thought in my head that it was very obvious to do. So I would deserve death. And I'm at 12. They have the Grease Fang to crew. That's exactly 12 damage. Why would I not play out the Grazer? Oh, just clicking too quickly. This one's on me. Oh, so brutal. Yep. We even had the mana next turn to cycle, copy, Hidden Strings, untap into Pore. So we would have seen 4 cards. So then we could have played the Omniscience into Impulse. So let's see if it will let me draw 4 more into the win. So 100% on me. Now we have to win both post-board games. Okay. I think this is a matchup where we want the untappers. And Beseju 4. Board out the Grazers. Like, the Grazer blocks, but the post-board games become a little bit more disruptive, and you just want more live cards in your deck. And then Fading Hope is fine. Let's try this. That was just bad. The previous game was so bad. We don't have access to Lotus Field or Stage. It's just cards and mana. Mulligan. This is a mulligan as well. I think we're actually supposed to go to 4. Some of you might be watching and going like, you mulled yourself into a loss. You're supposed to mulligan those hands. I'd rather mulligan hands that don't get to play Magic than keep garbage. Okay, this is actually a very good 4. Play the Beseju, we'll pass the turn. Blooming Marsh. Sylvan Scrying down. We just need any land, and then we have stage. Basically, we're going to wait to... Okay, or I can just draw one. Sweet. If we didn't draw a land there, I would have played stage and waited to play the Lotus Field until we drew another land. Raffine's Informant, strong start. And they have the Parhelion. Okay, so if they have Greasefang, we're in a lot of trouble. Play the field. Pass the turn. Looks like they don't have it quite yet. No Greasefang there, but they did find land 3. They take the Temple Garden. So this will knock me down to 17. Draw step. That was really good. I guess I should... I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to play around Beseju and just copy in my main phase. Getting in my own head a little bit here. Is that lethal? 13. This puts me to 1. Okay. I mean, this is winnable. This is 13 plus 3, so I go to 1. Let's go. Draw. Did not need another Lotus Field. We want to draw Hidden Strings off this Pore. No Hidden Strings. Discard the spare Lotus Field. Alright, cycle. Untap. Draw. Okay, so we're currently... We can play the Beseju. And let's Balagad back the Pour Over pages. And then Pour again. We need to hit a Hidden Strings because then it allows us to play our graveyard. I think Petition does it. Yeah, Petition was a great rip there. We'll grab the Hidden Strings. Untap, untap. Mulligan to 4. Our opponent also had a very strong start. Lier. Hidden Strings. Yes, yes, and yes. We'll cipher onto our own Lier. Pour over pages. Okay. We're rolling. So, okay, they just conceded. Mulligan to 4, we got there. I boarded up a land. I think I'm going to board out the Lair on the draw and bring in the second copy of Fading Hope. Okay, I'm willing to keep this. We know that our opponent brought in Thoughtseize, so this Impulse might not be in our hand by the time we can cast it. Or brought in Duress, I mean. But we have half the combo already, so we just need a little bit of faith to draw into Lotus Field, plus a payoff. I think that this is a very reasonable 7 to select. Blooming Marsh. Duress. So they're going to take our Impulse. No, they took the Fading Hope. Really? Okay. That damned omniscience. Okay. Concealed courtyard, you got it. They're coming back with the duress. Now they take the impulse. Draw for turn. Pour over pages. We'll just play the Otawara and pass. Once again, holding the stage in case we draw into Lotus Field. Black, black. No. Change of heart. Black, white. Rafine's Informant. Sure. I mean, they mulligan to 5, and this is a very good start for them. Do you have land 3? No. We're going to cycle the Vizier here, untapping the Botanical Sanctum in case we draw into an Impulse or a Sylvan Scrying. Hope Tender. Okay. Here's to hoping that... Wait, see what I did there? Hoping. That we draw into Lotus Field. There's land 3. Now looking good for the home team. Is this Greasefang? It is. Okay. Chariot's coming back. Creates a pair of cat tokens. And they're going to swing for 7. So we're going to go to 13. They get another cat here. Looking fairly brutal for us. Draw. Otawara. I don't know what this does. Okay, so I guess this is a play we're allowed to make. I don't love it. Now we will exert. Untap, untap. Okay. Or we've already played our land for turn. Discard the... This is actually pretty crucial at the moment. So next turn, I have to copy the Lotus Field. I think it's the Omniscience that needs to go. We're not going to get to Omniscience mana. Assuming that I even get to untap. Grab the Lotus Field. They're just going straight to combat. I didn't even count to see if this was lethal. Oh, it just is. It's exact damage. Oh, that's a bummer. Guess that's on me. We weren't going to win regardless. Like, if I didn't take the Hope Tender play of untapping our land. So I guess you could argue that I was supposed to just pass and block and pray. I guess that's a line that I'm allowed to do. Although it wouldn't have worked. So we were kind of stuck in a lose-lose there. But we went on a mulligan to 4. Our opponent went on a mulligan to 5. Sometimes that's magic. I didn't play my best this round. This was not a great match for me. Game 1, obviously playing too quick with the Boreal Grazer. Game 2, not counting the damage on board. That said, we would have lost this one anyway. But Game 1 was definitely my own fault. It sucks, but we're 2-2. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. The 5th and final match, we were on the play, which is kind of nice. Let's see if we can finish this with a winning record after I sort of threw that previous round. Yorion Sky Nomad. Well, this hand is delightful. We'll keep. Although we do have this just god-awful Omniscience. That was my one concern with playing this list tonight, is that I just hate this card, and it is glued to my hand. Botanical Sanctum. Grazer. So, I could have mulliganed this hand, because this, if I'm being completely honest, with their opponent revealing a Yorion, this hand is likely a mulligan to 5. So the Grazer plays a mulligan, and then this Omniscience is a mulligan. But we'll see how it plays out. Play the field. Pass the turn. Hallowed Fountain. Okay. Oh, they're on this deck. Okay. Enigmatic Incarnation, or whatever it's called. We'll just copy the field and pass. Alright, so the field, or the Grazer was a little bit better than a mulligan here because speed does matter in this matchup. So having this online earlier is better. It's not exactly a mulligan. Okay. Fable. Draw. Another Lotus Field, unfortunately. So if I want to get a card from the sideboard, I mean, I guess I could get the Zakama. Although we don't have enough mana to play it next turn anyway. We only have 8. Let's Masterminds from the main deck. I think we just get the Ultimatum. Pass. They play land 4. Fires. Okay. There's the Incarnation. So this is particularly good for them because they can sacrifice and go get a copy of Archon of Emeria. We'll block. Incarnation happens. And there's the Archon. Yep. Thankfully, we have the Otawara in hand. Lier doesn't actually help me here. So the problem is if I play out... I just have to hold this. We don't actually have the right mana for Ultimatum yet either. So I would need to draw well. And this is my last turn because if they copy Archon of Emeria moving forward, I'm locked out of the game. Pulsamir, that's fine. Sure. They put Yori into hand. We'll take 4, that's fine. They've only played 1 spell this turn, so they do have another spell they can cast. And they don't. We will bounce the Archon, and we have to just draw well here. This is our last window, so we have to try to seize it. Oh no! I did this too early. I was supposed to let the trigger resolve. Okay, it's just Elishnorn. Draw. It's Grazer. We're dead. Next game. I'm not playing well tonight. It's tough. I'm trying to record this late at night. Obviously, my game's a little off. I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just kind of the truth. Like, I would have lost that game anyway, but, like, I shouldn't have responded to the trigger, and I'm mad at myself about that. Get rid of this Lier, the Hydra. We can get rid of a Balaged recovery, 64. We're out 2 Shimmer. Honestly, I don't think we necessarily want the Grazers here. So let's bring the Shimmers back in. Actually, we might want these. I feel like boarding in sweepers and our creatures is kind of a numbo. So let's get rid of the green creatures. We'll bring the Shimmers back and the Balaged. We want to have a coherent board, or consistent or coherent sideboard plan. Boarding in 3 untappers while boarding in sweepers just doesn't make sense. So we're going to try to avoid that. Game 2. Sure. Breeding Pool, pass. Triome. Play the Otawara. Let's go get our Lotus Field. Pass the turn. Stomping Ground. Rest in peace. Okay. Why don't we get rid of that Rest in peace? Play the Lotus Field, will pass. So the reason I want to get rid of the Rest in peace is I'm viewing this Mastermind's acquisition as a way to go get Thespian stage. And if I do, I need to be able to flash this back later. Fable, yep. Draw. Or I guess I can just find the tutor for stage. Pass. Trial of Ambition in a Hallowed Fountain. Nylea's Presence. Another Rest in Peace, okay. We'll take 1. Copy. Pass the turn. Temple Garden. Elishnorn. Okay. So we have enough to try to win here. I think we want to start by blowing up the Rest in Peace. Hidden Strings on tap. Okay. Hidden Strings. Tap for a green. Emergent Ultimatum. Omniscience. Dark Petition. Lier. Okay, I'll go grab the Omniscience. Hidden Strings. Actually, I should Dark Petition first. Think it's Behold the Beyond here? I'm not quite sure. It could also just be another Emergent Ultimatum. Let's cast Strings. And then we'll cipher onto our Lier. Strings again. Like, I'm playing the Omniscience here, but I just don't need to. We'll cast the Masterminds, go get the Approach, and our opponent concedes. Like, you can win the game without ever getting Omniscience. You just have to build your deck a little bit differently. Like, for example, instead of the Omniscience, you have like a Peer into the Abyss, which is just better in more matchups, and it's less dead. And like there, I was tanking on the tutor because I was like, well, what if our opponent has Beseiju? How do I possibly win this? Or when you just like have Peer into the Abyss, you have your deck in your hand. So there's a lot of different ways you can win with a Lier on the battlefield. This is a snap keep. Triome. Lier. Well, we're playing a Balagad Pass. Nylea's Presence on the Sun Puddle Grove. I think we want to play the Boseiju here. Or the Otawara, I'm sorry. In my head, I was thinking the Boseiju we want to keep in our hand. So that way, if we need to blow something up, we can. I said the wrong card. It happens. Like I mentioned, it's a little bit late. Bear with me. They're just playing a land and passing. I love that. Another Fading Hope. Well, we'll play the Lotus. Pass the turn. Watery Grave. So if they have a Fires of Invention, this would be a turn to slam it. They play it tapped. Interesting. Thespian Stage Pass. Ketria's Triumph, or Ketria Triumph, not plural, or possessive. And there's a Fires. Incarnation. Yep. So I have to imagine they're going to sacrifice the Nylea's Presence to go get an Archon. And when they do, we can copy Lotus Field and Fading Hope on their end step. Surprise, surprise. So we'll add some blue mana. Fading Hope, and we get a Scry. We don't need you. You can go on the bottom. Draw for turn. Blue-black. Cycle Vizier. Untap. Draw a card. Green. Emergent Ultimatum. We'll get Pore. Yeah, I think we want Pore. Hidden Strings. And then Omniscience. They're not going to give us Omniscience, so we'll get the other two. Oh, they actually gave us the Omniscience. Wow. Okay. Now, Hidden Strings happens. Play Lier. They conceded. Cool. All right, well, we went 3-1. Not the best record. I obviously punted around. We lost around to creativity where I felt like we were pretty far out of that, but not a whole lot I could have done there. But one of those matches was definitely on me. I'm not going to make any excuses. I played very poorly. In general, I don't know. Like, the problems I have with this deck are the same problems I've had with a lot of the like stock-ish builds for a while. I don't like Omniscience. I thought the Satyrs were interesting, but they didn't really come up much this league, so my sample size on them is still relatively small. Other than that, it felt fine. The Lair of the Hydra, we never faced red-black, which is the matchup that it's in the deck for, so the purpose of this card wasn't showcased. I didn't like Dragon Lord Dramoka, so we had this in hand versus creativity, and they had the Hullbreaker Horror on the battlefield, and this card was just useless because they could just bounce it, and then the text would be shut off. Sphinx was a much better card. I'd be interested in Thought Distortion over Dragon Lord Dramoka personally. The 4-mana tutors are fine, or 4-mana sweepers are fine. Supreme Verdict isn't here because it's tougher to cast without Lotus Field. That said, these are worse versus decks like Spirits. I don't really have strong opinions on these. I personally like the 3-mana sweepers a little bit more. Brotherhood's End or Path of Peril. That said, those have their own issues, but I prefer to like them a little bit more than the 4-mana sweepers. I've never liked Zakama. I feel like this card is super win more, but people love to play it. And I'm just not a huge fan of the sideboard. That said, I played super poorly tonight, and the team that built this list top 8 of the Pro Tour, and I didn't. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Test things out for yourself. Come to your own conclusions. Don't just listen to me. But thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't play a little bit tighter tonight. Have a great day. Keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.